In the mid 1990s, 1995, we had what was basically an informal pilot program for a K-9. And that was a dog. His name was Mason. And our boss, Aaron Dean, the RAC Aaron Dean, was at the time a wildlife inspector, was the handler for that dog. As of January of this year, we now have a more formal K-9 inspection program. Ray was selected along with three others in different ports to be trained as dog handlers.
Well, in January, I went away for 3 months, where me and three of my other colleagues were introduced to 6 dogs. And there was a pool of 6 in case any of the dogs became injured, ill, or it just didn't work out for any one reason. During that period of time, everybody worked with every dog for the first 2 to 3 weeks in order to see which dogs worked better with each handler, personality-wise, work drive, work ethic, that kind of stuff. And at the end of the 2 to 3 week period, each dog was matched up to each handler. The labs are mainly used for cargo and border type crossings, things like that, vehicles, because it's a larger, hardier dog. It's easier to hop up on to freight and pallets and things like that. They have a strong work drive as well, and they have this need and this drive to want to please the owner or handler, and so that's why they chose the labs. And again, it's not a menacing animal. If someone saw a German Shepherd coming at them versus a lab, I think they'd walk towards the lab before they'd walk to the German Shepherd. So that's one of the reasons why they do that. They have very strict standards. Every dog that is a lab in the lab program needs to look like a lab. Every beagle that's in the beagle program needs to look like a beagle. Mm-hmm. So they don't have to be purebreds, but they have to at least meet those minimal characteristics. A lot of our training was to recognize these changes of behavior in the dogs. So if it's a product, what they're trained to do is sit. If they're working on a cargo belt, they're taught to scratch. They don't need to be taught how to respond to a live animal because they all pretty much react the same way. They just freak out. Okay. They either get overexcited or they start to cower or they'll bark incessantly, So, and it's your job as the handler to follow up on any changes of behavior. The training is very similar to what the other detector dogs go through. So a dog is chosen. They meet a variety of different characteristics: behavior, drive, non-aggression in this case, because they're not apprehension dogs. They can't be fearful of or skittish because they work in these loud environments and they're meeting different people all the time. So they need dogs that have a good disposition. If a dog meets all those requirements, it's pulled into the program and it's introduced into the basic protocol training, which is basically these are the scents you're going to be looking for. Okay, this is the type of object you're going to be looking for these items in, and if you associate those two together, you'll get a reward. And in this case, it's food. Her name is Locket. She's an English lab. She's purebred, and she was acquired from a breeder out in Georgia. That was kind of an abnormal case because most of the dogs that USDA acquires are from shelters or rescues or donations. Because they have such high requirements for the dogs, they can't have illnesses, they have to have these major food drives and all these other behavioral characteristics and traits. It's hard for them to acquire dogs. So when they had to get the 6 dogs for our program, they couldn't acquire enough in time, so they went out and they purchased this one from a breeder. But her name's Locket. She has become, like I said, my second child. I love her to death. We have a really strong emotional attachment.